The senator from Alaska.
Mr. President, I'm pleased to be here on the floor today with the senator from New Hampshire, as well as other colleagues on both sides of the aisle, to speak in support of Ukraine. We're now more than 3 years into Russia's unprovoked, brutal war against Ukraine. I think we are encouraged by the news that we are seeing advance this afternoon with the talks in Saudi Arabia between the United States and Ukrainian officials as they talk about the potential for a ceasefire, the potential for the U.S. to restore military support and intelligence sharing. These are promising developments. I think we all want to arrive at that place where we see peace. But when we talk about how the peace is gained, I think, again, the discussions that are had on this floor, those of us that have had an opportunity to go to Ukraine and see the situation on the ground ourselves, to speak with so many who are engaged in this effort, the stakes are not only about Ukraine's sovereignty. The stakes also include our values, our security, and our credibility as the leader of the free world. This is not just a regional conflict on the edge of Europe. It's a global test. It's a test of whether the international community will allow borders to be redrawn by force. A test of whether democracies will continue to stand together when authoritarian regimes literally try to rewrite the rules. And yes, it's a test. It's a test of American leadership in the 21st century. As was stated, the Ukrainian people are not asking us to fight their war. They are doing the fighting. It is their sons, it is their daughters that are dying. What they're asking of us as the world's leading democracy is to help us with the tools, help us with the arms, the ammunition, the logistical support, help them protect them, help them with the intelligence that can be provided through satellite imaging, help them so that they can protect themselves. And I think that we should be proud. We should be proud as Americans that we have helped to make a difference. We have helped Ukraine push back the Russian advance. It has prevented Kyiv from falling to Russia. It continues to help Ukrainian defenders hold the line there. So every weapon system, every round of ammunition and radar or drone that we have helped to provide, these aren't just supplies. These are literally lifelines to the people. And when we think about the people, I think it is important to also recognize another way that we have helped in this country. Senator Shaheen showed a picture of the Ukrainian families and the people in her state. In Alaska, we have welcomed, we have embraced, we have helped situate Ukrainian families who have sought refuge, who are here in a place like Alaska, in a place like New Hampshire, because where they call home is not safe to be. And so how we can support them is important, because when we support Ukraine, we're not just helping a nation in need, we're protecting and we're preserving the rules-based international order that has helped keep the peace for generations. And if we falter, others are watching. Others are watching the situation in Moscow, in Beijing, in Tehran, in Pyongyang. And so if it is seen that we are walking away from Ukraine, if we embrace appeasement, we embolden every aggressor around the globe. And more than that, it's our allies, it's our friends, our partners. They're watching us. And they're asking the question, is the United States a country that can be depended on? Are we seeing this alliance that we have had, that we have worked to nurture and build for 80 years? Are we seeing that fray? I understand, absolutely, the calls for restraint in our support, that the war costs too much. We need to be focusing on issues here at home. But again, the fight is bigger. The fight is bigger than that. It is significant, yes, for Ukraine, but it is about democratic values and standing up for democratic values. It's about stopping the expansionist ambitions of authoritarian regimes. Because I think we've got to be honest here. Look at history. Russia is not going to stop at Ukraine. In 2005, in his State of the Nation address, Putin said, quote, "The demise of the Soviet Union was the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the century." And he's never hidden his ambitions from that statement. When Putin says the ongoing collapse of Western hegemony is irreversible, he means us. He means our allies and the broader narrative about the decline of Western influence. He wants NATO to be divided, and he wants the United States isolated. This works to his advantage. He just probably didn't expect that America was going to do it for him. Now, as an Alaskan, I get geography. I'm acutely aware of the threat a more aggressive Russia poses. Just across the Bering Sea, 2 miles separate the United States, Alaska's Little Diomede, and Russia's Big Diomede. We see Russia's military buildup when we see the Russian bombers that are flying in our ADIZ, when we see the Russian and the Chinese naval forces out in our waters. But we also know and have long known that a destabilized Europe means a more dangerous world for the United States. And this conflict may seem like a continent away, a long ways away, but the consequences are anything but distance. We all want this war to end, but it cannot end on Russia's terms. If it does, we should expect nothing more than a temporary respite before the resumption of hostilities. Why are we going to start trusting and believing Putin's word now, given his track record? We've seen this before. History doesn't lie, and the appeasement of tyrants does not bring peace. Russia started this conflict, and it's critical for us to stand with Ukraine to end it, not just because it's right, but because it's necessary. Mr. President, I yield the floor.